just the opposite. It's like a reversed pyramid, where the way it was originally, the original principles, the colonial militia, from the earliest days, early 1600s till the late 1800s, that was for over 250 years, that was the structure.
The posse.
Was structured. The power was really with the people. The officers were elected within the towns, the militia officers, and that's what we want to revitalize by statute.
And generally, it was military veterans, it was police, it was firemen, it was people who wanted to be involved were in the militia. Basically, all the men were, but it was, who wanted to show up and be part of it. And the community was one group of people, and everybody trusted each other instead of these federalized local police that are taught not to trust us. Police, wouldn't you rather have the people be your friends and you be with the people?
Yes, and what we want to do, and during the War of Independence, the militia, the state militia, it complemented the Continental Army. The state militias worked, they complemented one another. We had an invasion, and the colonial militia was around much earlier, 1620.
And they helped win a lot of the battles. Stay there, Walter. I'm talking about this big meeting coming up this weekend. Where you come from in the world, your ancestors struggled so you'd have a little bit of freedom you have today. Is your life just going to be this drunkenness of entertainment and sports and drugs and alcohol? Clear your mind. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. We all need to take off like a week. I'm not saying some set time, but we should all take off for like a week, once a year, and literally fast. Not eat a lot, just drink water, get focused, think about the world, think about what's important. Because I'll get where I'm working so hard, doing so much, it's almost like I'm drunk on work. I'm staying so busy that every time I just pause for a day or two, I get so much more discernment and understanding and focus. But can you imagine the average American working 8-9 hours at work, fights traffic for an hour, their kids get home on the bus 3 hours before them, watch television, go on the internet, see God knows what. Kids don't even talk to each other across school counters anymore at lunch. They just text each other. We're being sucked into the matrix. We're drunk on entertainment and distractions, forgetting what's really going on in the world and what life's all about. Men are meant to stand up for their tribe, for humanity, and to be involved in their communities and to push for justice. But people are like, oh, the government's doing bad things, but that's just what they do. That's called capitulation. And as soon as you capitulate to corruption, it goes straight downhill. You don't just say, oh, things are kind of corrupt, I'm going to put up with it. The moment you do that, the level of tyranny you will live under is the level you put up with, as Thomas Jefferson said, paraphrasing. Going back to Walter Reddy. Walter, committees of safety, recap what's coming up this weekend, folks all over the country, what's going to be happening at this event, and then let's continue talking about what the real militia reborn would look like, instead of the fake Fed militia where let's hide behind the bushes and train, and everybody's a Fed, and let's build pipe bombs. And then in every case, it was a Fed who tricked a few good old boys to build a pipe bomb with him. And then they put on the news, incredible terrorist attack foiled. And they go out and create a fake Viper militia out of a methamphetamine cooking biker gang. And the FBI created it, the fake Klan groups, all of it. How do we navigate that? I guess we be out in the open, have our manifesto of liberty.
We are. We're doing the committeesofsafety.org it's a First Amendment group. That's what we are, and we're working on these. We will be working on these statutes to revitalize it and give it legal authority. That's what the private militias right now do not have. I mean, it always was for 250 years. It was through colonial militia statutes or state militia statutes.
And law always goes back. Law always goes back to the base. And so under the founding, under the clear letter of the law and the intent, we are to have these local militias under the county and the state, and we need them right now.
Yes. And locally, and the officers elected by the people, the ones they trust within their community, not this top-down out of Washington, all-seeing eye of Washington, pyramidal structure they have in place. So that's what we're doing. We're going to be, anyone that's near can make it to Lexington. It's Sunday noon to 3 p.m. We'll be on the green at Lexington, the very spot where it took place. The shot heard round the world beginning. So, what else?
Well, what you're doing is so important, Walter, and what Oath Keepers is doing is so important, because tyranny will always come to your door in a uniform. And the average military, the average police, I keep saying this because it's a key point. Ron Paul got more political contributions than either one of the other political party candidates combined. Ron Paul got the military donations because they're good people on average. They're trying to hire gangbangers, illegal aliens, and others to create the foreign force, and that's not going too well for them. So they got all these PR campaigns running, pushing it. But we have to reach out to the police and military. Tell folks about the Oath Keepers, and because they're going to be there with you as well, and some of the other speakers.
Yes. Well, I'm really so pleased about this, because it counters these MIAC reports and everything else that want to separate the people and the patriots in this country from our police and military. So this is a great coalition. We want a number of Oath Keepers. Stuart Rhodes has founded. They have local and retired and current military and police that are reaffirming their oath to uphold the Constitution, will not violate their constitutional oaths and oppress the people. So this is great. The original colonial militia we had at that time, they supplemented at the time it was the constables and the sheriffs. They had their function, but we were all united under a common goal to protect our rights.
Well, also, they knew that you couldn't have a constable or sheriff's deputy everywhere at every time. That's why they said, man, it's your job to protect this area from criminals, from the natives, from corrupt government. And so that's what liberty's all about. And Switzerland has this system. A few other countries have it, and they are all the freest nations on earth.
Yeah, so that's a good point, Alex. It'll probably, when we revitalize it by state statute, the constitutional state militia, it'll probably look a little bit more like something like the Swiss militia has today. It won't look like it did 200 years ago, but it's the same principles. And our founders believed there was only time they used the word necessary in our Constitution. In order to have a free state, there was one thing that was necessary. And it wasn't Congress, it wasn't even the president, it wasn't the Supreme Court, but this one thing was the state institution called a well-regulated militia. That means well-organized within the communities and within the states. That will provide for a free state. And without that, you have the opposite, like a police state. And we haven't had a fully functioning state militia anywhere in this country for over 100 years. And that's what our goal is to revitalize it.
Well, it's just beautiful, Walter. Are you buoyed? Are you excited? Does it hearten you to know that there are states like South Dakota, Texas on the verge? Texas is big.
Yes.
In fact, coming out and saying, there is tyranny. We're not putting up with the tyranny of the feds.
Absolutely. And, Alex, I know you had a lot of the state legislators on that are starting to get this, and they're really, and I've spoke to a number of them, Dan Itza up in New Hampshire, a friend of mine, and Charles Key down in Oklahoma, I've spoken to, and this is exactly what they need. Our allies in these state legislators need this power behind it, and this is what the petition is all about. So the state legislators know that the people are behind this. We'll be able to have the power behind it to get these statutes enacted. So
In fact, speaking of that, here's Rick Perry, Bilderberg Group member, New World Order, everything else. But because our movement's coming so huge, getting so large, the people are ready for revolution everywhere and resistance to tyranny. The establishment is having to at least camouflage themselves like us. And that's fine, because that only legitimizes what we're doing even more to block what the New World Order is doing through Barack Obama. Survivalistseeds.com. You can now grow your own healthy food for just 4 pennies a pound and break free of the New World Order. You need to get self-sufficient, folks. These people are vicious. They're shutting things down. Survivalist Seeds has now drastically reduced their price on heirloom seeds to the lowest out there. Survivalistseeds.com. Get 6,000 heirloom seeds for a really low price. Be sure and check it out. There's a real heirloom seed shortage right now, so people interested in growing their own healthy food need to get their heirloom seeds now and start their gardens this spring. Freedom starts with action. Survivalistseeds.com is how you survive the world economic collapse that the globalists are engineering.